Welcome back, sports fans. It's another episode of Off the Cuff with Monte and Geoff.
Hi, guys.
Obviously, if you can't tell, Monte's a little under the weather.
Yeah,
we're gonna
persevering though.
He's pushing through. Before we get started, just wanted to thank you all for all of you that have already come on and watched an episode and liked it, or for all of you that have not, we encourage you to stick with us. We hope to get better as this goes on.
And even those that have watched it and don't like it, but haven't ridiculed us, we like that too.
Yeah,
so thank you for that.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And if you want to, I do see that we have some people that have subscribed. If you go ahead and hit that subscribe button below, it gives you the opportunity to be notified when we do post new content. If you hit the like button as well, we always like to see if people like what we're talking about. We do keep these open for comment as well, so let us know what we can improve on or things that you'd like to see.
All right. Well, Geoff, for our first one today, let's talk about the area high school sports scene. Today, Friday, February 11th, jumping ahead to tomorrow already, our district wrestling started. And Ravenna is up in Burwell in the D3, wrestling up there with a bunch of other teams. Pleasanton is hosting the D2 in Pleasanton, and Ansley-Litchfield is in Maxville at the D1. And as of right now, I can tell you that there is 14 wrestlers for Ravenna. They have 2 in the same weight class, and all 14 are still alive after the first day. 6 are still unbeaten on the day, and 8 more have a chance to still go to state by going through the consolation bracket. So that's pretty amazing.
That's pretty amazing.
It's very good.
And while we're talking about that, I did want to say real quick, we had a previous YouTube video about the state duels last weekend, and I wanted to say congratulations to the Ravenna team. I think they were probably disappointed. They went 1-2 and ended up in 6th place. But for their first appearance at the state duels, I'd say pretty respectable to get a win in there.
Yes.
So just wanted to say that real quick before I forgot.
And they beat a quality team all there. Winside is a perennial wrestling power, so to beat someone like a Winside for their one win was very good.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they had higher expectations. The coaches told me they felt they were right in the match with Thayer Central, the first one, and there's just a couple matches that maybe went the wrong way that could have made a difference in the end. But that's the way wrestling goes,
Yes, it does. So, that's one of those. And again, I'm not a wrestling expert by any means, but
nor am I.
But you could be winning the match handily and make one mistake, and all of a sudden it goes the other direction. So again, just wanted to say that's awesome for the Ravenna wrestling team.
And the Pleasanton, I didn't look up the results in Pleasanton to know them by memory, but I do know both Pulowski kids are still alive, and the Crapola kid at the lower weight class is still alive. And all three have a great chance of qualifying for state.
That's awesome. It's good to see those area athletes sticking their nose in there and representing the area. So that's
they
great.
Do well. Those Pulaskis have had quite some success over in Pleasanton.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, they have.
Salute to them. Well, and then yesterday, the NSAA released the girls' Subdistrict for next week, which the regular season is now over. And Subdistrict play starts, for some teams on Monday, and for Ravenna in particular, they start on Tuesday. And Ravenna gets to host this year.
Is that unusual, Monty, that a team gets to host their own?
Well, they've changed the rules now.
Oh, okay.
I was made aware that they did this last year, and the top seed always has the opportunity to host now.
If they choose to do it, they get the opportunity to host.
And next year, the higher seed will also have the opportunity to host the district final. Previously, they would have a neutral site. And they would pick it halfway between both schools that are paired up in the wild card points. But next year, the higher seed will have the opportunity to host.
I would think that would be a huge advantage to have home court advantage.
That's huge, especially if some teams are traveling some distance.
Oh, absolutely. You could have a team from out west going all the way east, or vice versa.
Right.
And so that's
because it is statewide. It is statewide.
Yep. Once they get out of the sub-districts and they reseed everybody based on their wild card points, that can make a huge difference.
And quite honestly, it's good for the higher seed, I'll agree, but I'm not sure it's so good for the lower seeds. It takes kind of the upset element out of it a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I like that.
I was just going to say the same thing. One of the things I always loved, and wild card points are important, don't get me wrong, but one of the things you always like is to see a good wild card or a good underdog come through the system and come out of nowhere and really get hot at the end of the year and make some noise. So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out next year. But
And sometimes there's a reason why their wild card points aren't as high.
Absolutely.
For example, maybe there were some injuries during the year, maybe an injury.
Mm-hmm.
Or
just
things
their
like that.
or their schedule. Maybe
Well,
they
that usually reflects it somewhat.
yeah, it does. It does. But you can have a really good team that just plays a weaker schedule, and so they don't have the wild card points,
Right.
And so they don't have the seeding. But
That could come into play.
you're exactly right. That wild card point system has kind of helped level things out a little bit. I think,
has.
and make sure that the teams that have the better records or have maybe a stronger resume have a better chance to make it to state. So
Yes.
So that's interesting. Couple reasons, which I think we'll come back to the Ravenna sub-district here in just a second. There's a lot of interesting storylines with that whole sub-district. We wanted to mention as well that Ansley-Litchfield, who is in the same sub-district as, it looks like Heartland Lutheran and Anselmo-Myrna are the top 3 seeds along with Ansley-Litchfield. They kind of got a tough draw. Do you know where they're actually playing at, Monty?
They're playing at Anselmo-Myrna.
Oh, they're playing at Anselmo-Myrna,
Yep.
so that makes it a little bit tougher as well. Looks like they get Heartland Lutheran in the first round. I don't believe they played this year. I'd have to look that one up as well.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Chances are they're going to have to face off with a pretty darn good Anselmo-Myrna team if they get through that first round. Once you get into districts, though, sub-districts, districts, anything can happen.
Anything
can happen. So
Yep.
that's awesome. We wish the Ansley-Litchfield girls good luck in their sub-district this first part of next week.
Until they play Myrna, because you guys are Myrna fans too.
Yeah, there's a Myrna connection. Yeah, my sister lives in Myrna, and so I have some nephews that go to school in Myrna. So there's some push and pull there, but yeah, when it gets to this time of the year, all I care is good basketball games. It's exciting. The intensity ratchets up a level, and so that's exciting. So.
Yep.
And speaking along that intensity line, that's where we kind of wanted to talk about the Ravenna sub-district, because ironically, Ravenna's the 1 seed, and number 2 seed is good old Pleasanton.
And Pleasanton, I don't think we mentioned this last week. I've been told by someone who knows that the Pleasanton team has improved a lot during the year.
And I would agree. Go back to the Pleasanton Holiday Tournament.
They weren't even in the finals.
They weren't even in the finals.
Yep.
No, they weren't. However, they did come out in the consolation game and beat a good Myrna team.
Yes.
So
Myrna is,
and Ravenna struggled with that same Myrna team in the first round.
We barely got by them.
Yeah. So Pleasanton, obviously the Class D1 runner-up last year. They lost some girls, but obviously there's some talent still there. So, in all likelihood, you're looking at Ravenna and Pleasanton, if everything goes true to form, in the sub-district final.
It would be a crazy upset for that not to happen.
Yes, it would be. So, what are your thoughts on that, Monty?
Here's the thing. I have not been to a Ravenna sub-district final game in a long time, because that always happens on the same week of state wrestling. This year, I'm not going to state wrestling until Friday. So I'm going to be at this sub-district game. Primarily because I want to see this game, first of all. And second of all, I'm trying something new for state wrestling. So that game is that important to me to go to.
I think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
I really do.
It will fill the gym.
I really believe, honestly, that, like Monty said, unless it is a crazy upset somewhere along the way, it will be Ravenna and Pleasanton, and that will be one heck of an atmosphere. I'm excited to see that.
Yes, I think we all are. We all are. There's only one win separating the two teams. Ravenna has 17 wins. Pleasanton has 16 wins. That's pretty cool.
Two pretty good teams. They have some common opponents, like I said. That Myrna one obviously was early in the year, but both teams won that game. Pleasanton a little more handily, I would say, than Ravenna did.
I think
it wasn't handily, but Ravenna squeaked by. They really did not play very well against Myrna. Pleasanton played much better, it seems. But again, common opponents, yes, you can kind of compare, but until the games are played, you just don't know. I do want to point out one interesting thing, though, in that D1 class. I was looking at the wildcard points today.
Yeah.
The one in Ravenna's the third
Third
overall in wildcard points. The number 1 and number 2 teams are in the same sub-district.
Did
you know that?
I didn't realize.
Elmwood Murdoch is number 1. Fremont Bergen, or Archbishop Bergen, is number 2, and they're in the same sub-district. So
Wow.
you know that one of those two teams, one's going to win, or I shouldn't say but in all likelihood, one is going to win the sub-district. They're both going to move on to the super state or sub-state, I guess you should say.
I'm not sure what the right word is, but
they'll both be in. So I found that interesting. So I'm excited. This time of year for basketball and wrestling, for that matter. Like I said, the intensity goes up a level, and it's fun to watch.
It is. It is. Great time of year.
It is.
For sports.
It is, absolutely.
And this what we're going to talk about next is kind of in the future, but people are excited now anyway because the next 2 years of football schedules have been released by the state, and we wanted to talk about those a little bit. Ravenna will open up again. Well, I shouldn't say open up again because Ansley was their second game last year.
Mm-hmm.
But this next year, they're going to open up hosting Ansley-Litchfield, who's been a perennial good team, a hard team to beat. And then we're going to go to Southern Valley. Then we're going to host Cambridge. And then a game that a lot of people will also like is Ravenna is going to go to Pleasanton to play football. And I don't know that there's ever been a time that Ravenna's played Pleasanton in football.
I don't believe,
to my knowledge.
No, I don't believe so. If it hasn't been for quite some time.
Yeah.
And part of it, obviously, is that the differences in classes made it unlikely or unreasonable because one was an 8-man, one was an 11-man team.
Correct.
Now that both teams are 8-man, I love this.
They're in the same district as well.
And they're in the same district.
Yes.
I love this for the simple fact of they're 10 miles apart. It just makes sense.
Let's play every year, folks. Come on.
Why not? What do you guys think about that? Should we? I think that they should play every year. I think that would be great for both towns. Some excitement. There's a rivalry. We know that.
People will keep score.
Yes, people will. People will remember. So I think that that's a great thing. And then when you throw the fact in that is Ansley-Litchfield then in
Ansley-Litchfield is in Class D2 actually.
Oh, they're in D2. So they're not in the same district, but it'll almost be like a little round robin because I'm sure Pleasanton will play Ansley-Litchfield too, which I think that they do.
They do.
So you get all three of those teams playing each other. And on top of that, you have a little bit further down the road, Ravenna also has to go and play at Arcadia Loop City. So you've got another rival.
That's another great rivalry.
Right down the road. There's a lot to be excited about in this upcoming schedule for Ravenna.
And they've had our number in football for a few years now. So
yes,
we'd like to start changing that a little bit.
Yes,
but
they have.
Boys, do it. Come on. But after we play Pleasanton, we're going to go to McCool Junction, which also I'm not sure we've ever played them before.
Well, okay, so question for you. Wasn't McCool Junction in the 6-man state finals 2 years ago?
I believe they won it 2 years ago.
Yeah, isn't that crazy that now they're 8-man and Ravenna's playing?
8-man won.
8-man
won.
8-man
2.
Yeah.
So they jumped 2 classes.
That's pretty cool.
So who knows how good they are. Hopefully not very good, so we can get a chance for a win. But then we'll play Nebraska Christian, and then that game that Jeff was talking about, Arcadia Loop City. And then we'll close with Riverside and hopefully have enough wins to qualify for the playoffs after that. Pleasanton is going to play, they're going to start out with Highline, which you know where Highline's at, Jeff?
I do. That's the Elwood and Eustis combined school, isn't that?
Correct.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
It's an interesting name for a school. But
the Highline Bulls, I think.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Bulls?
I think
Okay.
they're the Bulls. So
yeah, that's good.
I don't know where the name came from.
I don't either. I have
find
no
that out.
idea. Then Pleasanton will go to Cambridge. Then they will play Ansley-Litchfield. Then, of course, they'll come to Ravenna. They'll play Nebraska Christian, Arcadia Loop City, and Riverside because they're all in the same district. And then they'll play Heartland. Now, Ansley-Litchfield, of course, like I mentioned earlier, they're going to start with Ravenna. Then they will play at Anselma-Myrna, who had a heck of a team last year. Then they will host Pleasanton. Then they'll play at Burwell. Burwell's dropping down to D2. Twin Loop, Central Valley, at Overton, and then they'll play Elm Creek. Elm Creek, I believe, is now D2 as well.
I think they are.
Which they weren't that long ago. They were an 11-man.
I know.
So they've really,
I know.
their enrollment has really dropped.
Which is crazy. I kind of always considered them Kearney West. They seem to have a few people that transfer from Kearney and go to school in Elm Creek. From a standpoint of there are a lot of people that live on that western edge of Kearney that it might be quicker for them to get to Elm Creek to school than, depending on where in the country they're at. It might make more sense. So yeah, that's I'm excited for these schedules. I don't know how you feel about them, Monty, but I think that there's some reasons to be excited.
I look forward to it every year.
Yeah.
It's very, especially when they have the new 2-year schedule coming out.
Yeah, so
because we know what's going on for the next 2 years now.
Yeah, I think that's great. Like Monty said, exciting time of year for sports fans, especially in the high school arena. we wish all the area teams good luck. I keep going back to that Ravenna Pleasanton girls game. I'm super excited. I hope both teams win first round games so we can be treated with that girls.
I think you're good too, Jeff. You won't be disappointed.
Okay, well I'm glad. I'm glad. So anyway, yeah, like we said, we're excited about this time of year. If you have any suggestions or comments, please make sure you let us know. And I guess we'll sign off for now.
All right.
See you later,
folks.